Hi everyone and welcome to my March wrap up and April TBR. In this video, I'm going to talk about all the books that I read from March. I read a total of 4 books and I'm also going to share the books that I hope to read for the month of April. Starting off strong, I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I listened to this on audiobook and I ended up giving this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. In this book, we are following our 2 main characters with disabilities and they end up having a one-night stand that turned out to be a unexpected pregnancy. I just loved the banter between our 2 main characters because they really embrace their disabilities and they find humor in it to the point where like they really just make it their own, and you see the chemistry like fly off the page. Even though I did listen to this on audiobook, I loved the banter so much. They really just bounce off of each other in the best way. I do have to say that I feel like the male main character is a little too perfect. The way that he talked to this girl who is like the future mother of his child, even though they weren't together, he really made her feel very special. And I say that he was a little too perfect because he just like always had the perfect thing to say. But don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed the book nonetheless. It was so good. As a mom, I feel like the experience of having a baby makes books with pregnancies a lot more enjoyable. I feel like not a lot of readers, or maybe not the ones that I personally watch and know, read a lot of books about pregnancies. I do highly recommend it still. It's very lighthearted, very easy to read, and very easy to fall in love with. Next up, I did read The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, and I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. This introduced me to cozy fantasy, something that I thought I would never read. I am someone who needs something fast-paced and something with high stakes, something that is going to keep me on the edge of my seat, but nonetheless, this still did that for me. And it was so cozy, and I feel like I would absolutely love cozy fantasy now. I was so scared that this was going to be slow paced, but I bought this because of the cover. Yes, I judged the book by its cover and I'm glad I did. I'm gonna say it. It is absolutely stunning, and the book and its contents was stunning as well. In this book, we follow Keela, who works at a library in the city, but because of like political issues, the library that she works in gets burned down. So she escapes with Kaz, who is a spider plant, and also her assistant. And yes, he does talk, walk. He is enchanted. And they escape the library with some of the books that she thinks have very high value. And they escaped to the island where she grew up in. So they do settle down there, and they do also have to make a living. So they decide to sell spells as a form of remedies because it is illegal to perform spells, which is kind of like the whole reason why there's a rebellion around the government, because they are keeping a lot of spells and magic to themselves rather than sharing it with the world, who basically became kind of dependent on spells. So she ends up secretly selling them again as remedies, but at the same time, to cover up for that, she is also making jam. Keela is very antisocial. I loved her as a main character because just seeing her embrace the fact that she does have to talk to people in order to have a successful business. She ends up like having a found family there as well, talking to like the other villagers who are magical creatures as well. There is also a romance, and again, because she's antisocial, she doesn't know like how to act around him. The love interest is her neighbor, who is also very nosy and he is just like on her, just trying to make sure that she's okay, and she doesn't know how to act, which was also very endearing to read. Overall, I agree with the description that this book is food for the soul. It was just so good, atmospheric. I loved everything about it. And I did also get a comment on my video where I read this that there's a second book coming out, and I think a third, and I already looked into it and it looks amazing, and I can't wait to read that one as well. The next book that I picked up is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle, and I ended up giving this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I really thought I was going to love this, but I did not end up loving it. We follow Katie as she is grieving her mother. Her mother, when she was younger, she went to Positano, Italy, and she like absolutely fell in love with the village, the country, the food, everything about it, and she wanted to go back with her daughter eventually. Unfortunately, Katie's mother does die before they take the trip together, so Katie decides to go by herself in a way to mourn her mother and celebrate the life that she had. Although I loved the Italian scenery and There's like Italian sprinkled here and there. I do love when the author include a little bit of the language of where the book is taking place and they don't include the translation. It just feels more natural and engaging. I did love that for sure. I could tell that the author was in Italy and I think did a really good job of like expressing and showing what the country is. What I did not like is that there is a cheating trope in the book, but I think, in my personal opinion, it was very unnecessary. Like, it led nowhere. I don't feel like it made our character any better or any worse. I also was very uncomfortable with how the author wrapped up that whole situation. The husband was basically just like left in the dark. And yes, although this is a fictional story, people still pick this up and read this, and I just think it is very unhealthy to like include it in a book and make it seem normal and natural without having any repercussions and just like an unhealthy conclusion overall. I do have to say that there is a little twist. That and the Italian scenery kind of saved it for me, but yeah, wasn't in love with it. And lastly, I read Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I read this as an ebook on my Kindle, and this read was very special because it was the first read for the book club that I started. I started a book club in my neighborhood. There is a Facebook group, and I just basically asked if anyone wanted to read books with me. And we ended up calling ourselves Once Upon a Pine because our neighborhood is called Pinewood, which I thought was so cute. We did start like mid-March, so we ended up reading Reese's book club pick for just that short month. This book was so fast-paced. I was reading it on my Kindle and I could have sworn this book was like 200 pages or less, and surprisingly it is like 320 pages. That is how fast-paced it was. I think it was like described as a contemporary with a thriller pace, and I completely agree with that. There is like a devastating accident for our main character, devastating loss, that I was just so heartbroken, and it was so sad to read about. There was also a cheating trope in this book, which after reading One Italian Summer, I was not a big fan of. The difference is that I feel like the author did a better job at explaining why the cheating happened, not saying it's okay in absolutely any form. It is not okay, and that kind of made it difficult for me to root for our main character because she is grieving, and it made her marriage very difficult. Her first love does come back to town. I don't know, there's already old feelings there. And again, I'm not saying that it was okay, but at least it wasn't as unnecessary as One Italian Summer. There is also multiple plot twists, which I loved because I feel like I was so concentrated and my attention was like on this one plot twist that I like did not see the rest coming. And I think also because I did predict one plot twist, which I was like, oh, like I knew this was gonna happen. And then I was just like thrown off of my feet with another plot twist. I did also really loved the setting of the book. It is in a farm and the characters have such a quiet life that I would love to have for myself. I also highly recommend this read as well. So now let's talk about the books that I want to read for the month of April. Disclaimer, I do have a surgery coming up this Friday on April 4th. And although I'm very nervous about it, I think I'm ready to have it. I am having this procedure called cross-linking on my right eye. I was told with complete transparency that it was going to be very uncomfortable, and for the day of the surgery and a few days after that, it is very recommended for me to just sleep, and when I'm not sleeping, to just keep my eyes closed. So I might be picking up more audiobooks than physical books for this month, and all the books that I want to read are physical. So I'm still gonna talk about them because I don't know, I feel like I have a really high pain tolerance. We'll just see how much I can read. It is quite unfortunate with the big reading mood that I'm in and then just having to have that surgery. But let's talk about the books that I've already picked up. I've picked up Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This was on my March hopeful list, so I did start this in March and it is carrying over into the month of April. I am this amount of the way through. No exact reason why I picked this up. I am like the biggest mood reader and I just wanted to read it. I thought it was going to be like a literary fiction, but it turns out it is like a thriller. Loving it so far. I did also pick up Bad Nature by Ariel Courage. This was released just yesterday, and this is our book club pick for April for my personal book club. this is like high priority. Like I need to finish this before April 26th. Another book that I want to read is The Heir of Venus by Laura Shepperson. This is the author of Phaedra. I have not read that one yet, but this was gifted to me by my friend Ale for my birthday. She says that she's already read this and she loved it as well. And y'all already know those Greek mythology books are always a hit for me. So I'm excited to read this. Don't know anything about it. Y'all already know I don't want to know much about books before I read them. In the back it says, to the world he's a legend, to her he's a liar. The feminist retelling of Greek and Roman legend reimagines the story of Aeneas and the woman once slept at the fringes of his story. Perfect for fans of Madeline Miller and Natalie Haynes. This sounds like Ariadne. Next, I do want to also read Emily Wild's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is book 1 of the Emily Wild series. And after reading The Spell Shop, I just want to read more cozy fantasy, and I feel like this is going to deliver. This is super floppy and so satisfying. I also got this for my birthday. I know the 3rd book just came out, so I'm excited for that. If I love this, I have 2 other books to pick up. Next, I also want to get into Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood is always a hit and miss for me, so I'm excited to see how or what I end up thinking about this one. Also, when I bought this, I did not see, what are these called? End pages? I'm not sure what this page and this page is called, but this isn't as floppy. So whenever I picked this up, I was very careful not to like open it too much. And whenever I was editing my birthday vlog, I did this on the clip and noticed these end pages and I was like shook. It was so unexpected. So yeah, I guess I'm really trying not to open it so hard. After seeing that, heck yeah, I want to read this. I also want to get into Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. One of the reasons is because I tend to get my book of the month and not read them right away. So I want to pick this up as soon as I can. This is The Invisible Life of Ada LaRue meets This Is How You Lose a Time War. I have not read that one, but I did read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and I remember I really enjoyed it. And this says, they loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other in every one. Excuse me? Evelyn can remember all her past lives. She can also remember that in every single one, she's been murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being linked to her soul. That's all you need to know. And then lastly, I want to get to The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is like on the back burner because I don't know what kind of headspace or mood I'm going to be in after my surgery, and I want to be completely immersed in this book when I get to read it. I want to annotate it, so it's going to be kind of difficult, but if I don't get into this in April, I will definitely read this in May. This is an American classic, and I want to read this because Brittany Broski has said so many good things about it. She said that the quotes in here are immaculate, and so I am excited for it. But again, I don't know if I'm gonna get to it, but I still wanted to include it in the video. So yeah, that was my March wrap up and April hopefuls. My April hopefuls were strategically placed and I did discuss them in the order that I want to read them in. But if you think that I should read one before the other, please let me know. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed making it, and I will see you in my next one. Hello everyone and welcome to my March TBR and my April, no. And then if I don't get to read this for the month of April, I will definitely get into it for my April hopefuls were strategically placed in the order that I want to get to them in. And I did discuss them in the order that I want to get into them to. And I did discuss them in the order that I want to get to. And I want to discuss that order that I wanted to read them in.